Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Daybreak on Trust TV. It's time to have a conversation with you, our amazing viewers. And this morning, we're starting with a topic that, left much of the country in dark. Now, yesterday, our national grid suffered a catastrophic collapse. And just after 3 p.m., major power plants failed and generation plummeted from nearly 4,800 megawatts to a mere 139 megawatts, abruptly plunging millions of Nigerians into darkness. Now, this is not just a statistics. It's a reality of disrupted businesses, spoiling food in our refrigerators, and another night navigating by candlelight. So this morning, we want to hear from you. We're talking about this. How did the collapse of the national grid affected you, your family, your business, and every other thing you needed to do yesterday? What was the impact on your home, your work yesterday, and were you frustrated? How were you able to navigate your way all through yesterday in darkness? The phone lines are open and the numbers are displayed on your screen. Do well to call us in this morning. We want to hear from you. Let's share our experiences together. And if possible, let's discuss, good measures and good ways we can be able to sort out the collapse of our national grid. If you look at it in the year 2025, we had a lot of reports about, the national grid collapsing. It started in February. I think first or middle week of February, we got the first news of, the collapse of the national grid. And then we moved on to, September and then other months. But then subsequently, we had, little reports of the national grid, but then not every state were affected, just some few states. But this particular one that happened yesterday, it showed that, a lot of states were being affected. According to reports and according to, statistics, Abuja and Ibadan had, electricity, but then some few states like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kogi, Ekiti, and some other states had, issues with electricity due to the collapse of the national grid. So if you're in those areas, and even if you're living in the FCT, and even if you live outside of Nigeria, you can call us in and share your experiences on how it was for you and how you were able to navigate your way. And like I earlier stated, we can also discuss, joining our heads together, our hands together in looking out for possible solutions not to experience this come 2026. All right, we have our first caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Maimuna. Good morning, Trust TV and viewers, Nigeria. So we are talking about national grid collapse.
Yes, we are. But what is your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling you from Katana State. My name is Rabiu Salisu.
Good morning, Rabiu Salisu. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Maimuna. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So national grid collapse become frequent in Nigeria without the care of the federal government. Because what I read, I see, since the independent 1960, up to now, politicians and our leaders are campaigning about the potable water, stable electricity, and road infrastructure. But since 1950 up to now, it's not obtainable. So it's a very pitiful. This minister of power, according to Nigerian history, is the worst minister of power Nigeria ever produced. Because under his leadership in the military, a lot of collapse happened. It affects small businesses. Considering the nature of the government now, not able business, small-scale business owner can afford to buy petrol or gas to get something that can feed his family. It's not easy. So the only thing is need the government to provide stable electricity so that the small scale, those who have a very small scale occupation will enjoy the electricity in one part, but it's not obtainable. Grid is always falling down. Some communities or overstates depend many days without in darkness. So it's very pitiful. We are not happy as Nigerians. Promise has not been fulfilled in this sector. So we are advising the federal government to look at the plight of the common man. related to this electricity issue. It's not obtainable at all. In 24 hours, where I am living in Katsina State, you cannot get a light for 4 hours out of this 24 hours one day. And you are paying. So look at the government, look at how to ameliorate the suffering of the common man. Election is not to do by force, no. There is some certain implementation by the government that can still support the common man. But if it fails to do it, the consequences will be awful. So, but in terms of electricity, there is no progress at all. But there are some certain times we are hoping the government and the other stakeholders to make it better for the common man so that we can enjoy it. But in there is speaking, it's not obtainable. Electricity, no. Potable water, no. Insecurity, everywhere. So you see, how are we going to survive? So it affects our economy completely. It makes people down. Epileptic power failure. So this is my take.
Thank you, Rabiu Sani from Kaduna, for calling in and, also giving... from Castena. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts and also, looking at possible ways in which the government can be able to curb the incessant collapse of the national grid. Thank you for calling. All right, the phone lines are still open and the numbers are displayed on your screen. You can call us on. You can also send us a WhatsApp message. Let's hear from you this morning, where you're sending in your message and how you were able to navigate through the darkness yesterday. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Muhammad. I'm calling from Kaduna, Zaria.
Good morning, Mohammed, for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I want to contribute to the grief that was affected yesterday. To be candid, the past president of this country had the mandate to lift us from this darkness. I appreciate this man, Salisu, that just called from Katsina. If you have been to Katsina, the late Yaradua established a wind van in Katsina. What are the subsequent presidents done to that? The solution to this is all states should be given license to generate electricity. We cannot concentrate our lights at one center, which means if that center is affected, the nation will be affected. Lagos as a whole that has such volume of water, it generates hydro. What stops our politicians from the north from buying solar panel, inverters, and sell to the northerners at cheaper price? At this stage we are right now in this country, I don't see any barbering saloon that should be using electricity. Take sample round all those weather doing their job, they cut off from NEPA because the bill was too much. They were putting some people on band A, they say, oh no, you are no more on band A, but they are collecting 20,000 2-bedroom flats. How can the salary of such person pay 20,000 in a month 2-bedroom flats? Somebody living on 120,000 salary monthly. So it's a cumulative effect. What I want to advise that if the president can give license to all states, regardless of how you want to generate the electricity aside nuclear, we know we are not up to that technical country that will manage nuclear electricity. We can generate hydro, we can generate solar, up down there, Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara can generate wind. What are their governors doing? But every blame will be centered on the president. It's not done that way. The local government can ameliorate the light issue of their populace by subsidizing solar. My sister, you need to see solar pumping machine. I just fixed it in my house. That has saved me thousands of naira. We know we have much solar in the north. We can use solar here. Down south, they can use hydro. So that will make governor to see tight. That will even make them to have something to campaign to their people. But what we do these days is to shift every blame to the center. So to give other people to talk, our light issue is a cumulative problem. Somebody was alleged to have embezzled billions of naira belonging to fixed light. 8 years of a Kasinawa that's supposed to fill and to build on the legacy of late Yaradua, may God forgive him. But he couldn't do anything. We are now coming to blame people to do what they are supposed to do in their own states. So we all the past governors are to be blamed. It's not now that we will now be looking at the present governor as a present government and blame it on them. So in conclusion, we should segment our light. If it's coal, Enugu has a coal, Kogi has a coal. They can generate electricity from these things. Ajakuta as a whole has light more than 18 hours. You can ask people living in Ajakuta. You understand? So how can the governor look at it? Okay, we have a coal. How can I generate light for the people of Ankpa, Ida, all those places? Look at Niger. Niger should be light 24/7 with their water. Lagos as well. The economic hub of this country. Kano as a whole too. They can support their light with solar. Extreme Kano can use wind. Until we change our narration, we keep on complaining. Every arm must be on deck. If you're a local government chairman, how can you make life easier for your people? So from the top, they can license it. Because from what I read, I learned only the center can generate electricity. It shouldn't be like that. For a country to develop in life, we must have a stable electricity. So is it research? Is it business? You need light. Even security. People cannot steal when there is light. Crime will be reduced. So that is my own take. That's my own take. Every sector, be it federal, state, local government, must intervene. And any saboteur must be dealt with. So long as you are fixing this thing, anybody that go to vandalize it should be dealt with seriously. To deter others. We are not saying these governors, these presidents are not working, but we have many saboteurs, political saboteurs, economic saboteurs. How can you tell me you are hungry? You went and got wire and sell it. It should be dealt with. And all those NEPA staff too, milking people in the community. Something that you're supposed to feed, you ask them.
All right, thank you, Mohammed, for calling in and joining the conversation. The phone lines are still open and the numbers are displayed on your screen. Do us to call us in and join the conversation. We have another caller. Good morning. Kindly turn down the audio of your TV set. Thank you.
Good morning. Kindly turn down the audio.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is George. I'm calling you from Makurdi to be precise.
Good morning, George. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Actually, I listened to the last call and then I just spoke now. The basic problem of this country, just like you said, is a greed, and the sector, the power sector is full of corruption and nobody is willing to sacrifice. When there's a total sanity in the country or in the power sector, everybody will benefit. This country is blessed with a lot of things. No state in this country that don't have something to give when it comes to power sector. But the government is not doing anything. Even when the government is trying to even put their own effort, the cabals in the power sector are even frustrating the system. But I believe one day we'll get it right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George, for calling in and contributing to the conversation. Now, I'm talking about the data that showed the collapse of the national grid yesterday. It shows that at some point, I mean, only 2 distribution companies were receiving power. Ibadan had 30 megawatts and Abuja had 20 megawatts. And, every other disco, including, those serving Lagos, Port Harcourt, like I earlier stated, Kano, Enugu, and Kaduna had 0 electricity. Now, in total, if you look at the data, you find out that the whole country was running on just 50 megawatts, which is, far too small to power homes, power businesses, power hospitals, power industries, and power, critical services as well. And now, what this analogy is trying to power Nigerians with 50 megawatts is, like trying to light up the entire country with just 2 small generators. What do you expect? The load will be too much. And each time we have this, grid collapse, it shows how weak it is when it comes to, managing the power sector. But then we have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
It's Colibio from Delta State.
Okay, I can barely hear you. Can you please speak up a little bit? All right, I think we lost that caller. Do well to call us back. And please, when you call in, as the rule of engagement first, turn down the audio of your TV set. I mean, so we can have this conversation and we can both hear each other clearly. Good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Mr. Sampson from Benue State.
Good morning, Mr. Sampson. Please go ahead.
Again, the issue of grid collapse. I think the last caller said the federal government has not centralized power sector generation of electricity. I don't think it's right. The last I remember was, I think some years ago, they passed a bill and they commended the current administration that they have decentralized the power sector. The state governments can now generate electricity, even private individual. If I'm correct, I stand to be corrected on that point. States cannot come up to own their own. I think so. Probably you can, maybe other callers can show me like this. Having said that, the problem in Nigeria, not only the power sector, is that the state government or the state governors are just interested in politics. They are only thinking how to become from one party to another party, how to produce a song to insult this other person, how to call media to come and do media talk to deceive the people. This electricity is very easy to fix. It is not a rocket science. If South Africa is generating more than 50,000 megawatts, more than, and Nigeria as big as this Nigeria, with all the resources that God has blessed us, we are running on only 50 megawatts. Can you imagine? 50 megawatts. It shows you that there's a problem. In Nigeria, we have good laws. They have produced good documents, good policies, everything good on paper. But when it comes to the time to practicalize it, you will see that is where we fail. This power sector has been decentralized. The state government can come in now and begin to produce their own electricity for the common man, for the masses, but they will not do it. What stopped them from bringing the solar like the last caller talked about? This solar. There are so many alternatives that they can make for the people, even if it is not everybody. At least the grid, the consumer on the grid will be reduced drastically. But they will not do it. They will not do it. They are only thinking about election. How are we going to win election? This year alone, if you check how many times this grid collapsed, it will be more than 10 times. When the Minister of Power came in, what did he tell us? The discos want to the tariff that we are paying is too low. When we increase the tariff, everything will be fine. There will be light 24 hours. He shouted. They increased the tariff from 59 naira. People in Bangui, they increased it to 205 naira. Can you see the increase? When they bring bill for me, they will bring bill of 40,000 naira per month. Sometimes they will bring bill of 50,000 naira per month. How do I want to pay that bill? And they will not bring light this light will not be available for up to 20 hours in that day. But they pack so many people to Bangui. But having increased the tariff, where are we now? The grid is still collapsing. Corruption. People are just sitting somewhere, collecting money without putting anything inside. Look at the transformer. The transformer in my community got spoiled. The electricity company could not bring a new transformer. Somebody, an individual, a politician was the one that now brought transformer for them. And they collected it, installed the transformer the next month. In fact, they brought the transformer October 15. That month, they came to collect their bill. So can you just see that some people are just there to collect money and they are not putting anything into this thing to make it better? They are just collecting, and nobody is saying anything because they settle everybody. The people that are supposed to regulate them, they will settle them. They will settle. The masses are just there, hopeless. So the great collapse is something that everybody, the president has done his own part. As far as I know, that bill has been passed. But what is the state governors doing? What are they doing? They leave it. What is the Minister of Power doing? Everybody just leave it, just to collect money, just to collect from the masses. Only to collect. They are not putting anything inside. Common transformer they cannot buy. Somebody bought transformer and put it there. Their own is to come and collect. I don't know. God will just help us in this country. I don't know. This grid will be collapsing. Nobody is saying anything. Please, God will help us in Nigeria. When election time comes, we should ask these people, what do you have to offer? The local government chairman is just there, collect. What are they doing with what they are collecting? They will not give account. At the end of the year, you see them buying cows. They'll be sharing cows from one place to another, from one man's house to another. I see them, they'll be sharing cows. That money is meant to put good roads, to put water, no let what is happening. God will help us. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in and joining the conversation. And to answer your question, yes, the federal government of Nigeria has, been encouraging state governments to start generating and managing their own electricity within their own state instead of relying only on the national grid. And this call is rooted on or rather in the Electricity Act 2023. That is to answer your question. And then looking at, some states level that has gone, in enacting this law and also taking up, the responsibility. We have Gombe State, passing its own electricity law. That's this year. And it's to enable the state to directly manage power generation and supply under the new legal framework. And then in the South, we have states like Edo, Bayelsa, and Delta. They are also, pursuing these decentralized electricity policies. That is signaling a shift towards greater state involvement in power infrastructure. I remember the report came out about Katsina State too as well, and also Zamfara State Governor, putting hands together to generate their own electricity. It is a good development, and then we encourage this more. But then the conversation still continues. Do want to call us in. The numbers are displayed on your screen. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling in. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Thank you, Maimuna Bagudu.
Good morning, Shatima.
Good morning, Trust TV. Good morning, Nigeria. This is Shatima Yakudima calling from Maiduguri.
Thank you for calling in, Shatima. Please go ahead.
Well, this issue of collapsing of a grid, national grid, there is nothing we can do. We have used to it and we have adopted. Because by all indication, this government is not ready. to rectify that, that problem. But notwithstanding, we are hoping and praying the next succeeding government maybe can turn their attention on it. But honestly speaking, as other callers have said, it's a shame, a very big shame to Nigeria. It's very, very unfortunate to the Nigerian politicians. If in the 21st century they cannot pick electric power, it's a very, very shame thing. With all the resources that we have, we call ourselves the giant of Africa. You know, some poor nations in Africa, they have access power, which they can, what they are generating, it is even above what they will use. You see, it's very, very unfortunate. The issue of corruption, that is why there is no light in Nigeria. And no government turning their attention to checkmate that corruption. I know if you look at what it was budgeted in the rectifying power sector in this country, it is enough for you to build 6 types of that grid that we have. So you see, there is nothing we can do. We only pray to Almighty Allah. And the solution is there. Practically everybody knows. And let governments generate their own power to supply their own states. Like what we have here in Maiduguri, we have a gas plant, which have become an alternative for us, and we are enjoying it. Because all these collapse, it did not affect us. We're just hearing it. And we are praying for Almighty Allah to provide for each and every family unit to fix their own solar power. Like now you see in my house I have solar, and if I wish I will turn to that gas supply power to those. But if not, I'm always on solar. I am praying for all family units to have sources to install power and solar power, so that we can forget about them. So, and I am praying for every business sector to have source to fix their own power supply. That's the only thing I think we will push ourselves out of this problem. But the government, they are not ready, honestly speaking. They are not ready. As one of my brother was saying, there is no, if you look at it very well now, our people are paying for darkness instead of light. They are not paying for light, they are paying for darkness. You do not see the light, but they will collect 50,000 naira from you. For what? For what? No mercy. This issue in Nigeria is becoming something else. But we are praying and hoping things will change in the picture. That's only our prayers. We should keep on praying to our nation. We don't have any other nation than Nigeria, but we should keep on praying for betterness of the country. Thank you so much and have a nice day.
We're still on this conversation. We want to hear from you this morning. I mean, the national grid collapsed yesterday. How did it affect your business? How did it affect your work? How were you able to navigate your way through the darkness? And, you can also share your thoughts on how you think both state governments and federal governments can be able to collaborate together, come together in making sure that the electricity, or rather the power issues that we're facing in Nigeria, does not cross over to 2026. If we can have one last collapse of the national grid before the year runs out, it's not a good thing that we we move into 2026 still having the same issues. All right, let's take some WhatsApp messages. Our first WhatsApp message is from Abel from Kaduna. He says, national grid collapse in Nigeria has far-reaching impact on daily life, businesses and the economy. Now, when the grid collapses, power supply drops significantly, leaving millions without electricity, and this affects homes. No lighting, no fans, no charging phones, no laptops. Businesses, operations shut down, leading to financial losses. In critical services, hospitals struggle, water supply is disrupted, and security is compromised. The frequent collapses are due to outdated infrastructure, inadequate maintenance, vandalism, and insufficient power generation. And the government is working to address these issues, but it's a complex problem. The economic cost is staggering. Grid collapses cost Nigeria around $26 billion annually, with businesses and households forced to rely on expensive generators and alternative power sources. Now, all these are what is affecting me and many Nigerians, I believe. Abel from Kaduna. Thank you, Abel, for sending in your message and also for joining the contribution. Okay, we have another WhatsApp message from Usman Santuraki, sending this one in from Jamaica Yola, and it says, good morning, anchors. These days topic come at the right time, as it was a friend from Kafin Hausa who texted me the topic, there is no electricity in Yola. It's quite unfortunate for a country like Nigeria to be experiencing national grid collapse almost every 3 months, and it does not tell it does not say well. I guess that's what she wanted to say for the country. In fact, I found it funny that at this time and age, the national grid of the country is constantly collapsing, thereby throwing the country in total darkness, that artisans like welders and others using electricity to put food on their table are finding it difficult due to absence of electricity. May God help us in this country. Thanks and remain blessed. Usman Santuraki from Jamaica Yola. Thank you, Usman, for sending it. Okay, we have a message from Nandi Bete. He's sending this one in from Ogoja, and he says on the issue of national grid collapse. This national grid collapse is turning to witchcraft. This is even as the existing system cannot supply power to serve the entire country. In this climate, we have various sources of alternative power supply. There are untapped waterfalls all over the place that can generate hydroelectricity, and our God-given sunshine can support solar energy. Why can't we get out of this incessant national grid collapse? Unfortunately, everywhere is politics of 2027. That is the issue on the front burner. And corruption, too, is not allowing Nigeria to breathe. It's terribly unfortunate. Thank you, Nandi Bete, for sending in your message and for joining the conversation. We have another one from Mabinto Akmak Bello. He's sending this one in from Port Harcourt, and he says, some set of people are obviously gaining from it under the expense of the masses. Thank you for sending in your contribution and your message. All right, we have a lengthy message from Adamu Mohammed Usman, and he sent this one in from Kafin Hausa in Jigawa State, and he says, good morning, everyone. My dear sister Maimuna, you better prepare the New Year celebration very well for us, because we may join in Abuja. That is good news. We'll be glad to have you. Okay, he said the collapse of the grids is very bad because the small-scale businessman that is the common man is affected the most. There is serious corruption in Nigeria in power sector and security. Please let the government do the needful and get things right before 2027. If you know, because the Nigerian masses will speak then. Nigerians used to be responsible or provide so many things on their own instead of government taking responsibility. The school, water, hospital, security, power, etc. Please let Nigeria pass the stage on power issues. May Allah help us. But I will use this opportunity to say well done to our state governor, Malam Umar of Jigawa State, because to be candid, we're not experiencing, or we did not experience this collapse, because every day I'm joining you in this program is not my personal generator. It is the power he provides for us. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you, Adamu Mohammed Usman, from Jigawa, for sending in this message. We look forward to seeing you in the new year, and we'll be ready for you as well. All right, we have another message from Karamo Abdul Hakim from Kwara State, and it says the sharp drop left households, businesses, and essential public facilities across major cities and regional centers without adequate power. Now, while telecommunication market in Nigeria has recorded advancement and stability, the electricity market in Nigeria is facing mixed challenges, ranging from slow growth in generation in generation capacity, market deregulation process, interference by government, electrical transmission lines and distribution equipment vandalism. Thank you, Karamo, for sending in your message and joining in this conversation. All right, we've come, or rather it's a wrap on our phone-in segment. To everyone who called in to join the conversation and to tell us how the collapse of the national grid affected their businesses, their work, and to those who also offered, some words of advice to the federal government and the state government on how to tackle this. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you.